So, okay, you can see that shared screen, I hope so. Anadikarma Pale, a very nice song from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Anadikarma Pale Bori Babalna Vachale Tari Bare Na Dekhi Upai Anadikarma Pale Bori Babalna Vachale Tari Bare Na Dekhi Upai E Vishaya Hala Hale Divanishi Hiya Chwale Manakapu Sukhanahi Pai E Vishaya Hala Hale Divanishi Hiya Chwale Manakapu Sukhanahi Pai Anadikarama Pale Podi Pavana Vachale Tori Barina Dekhi Upai Anadikarama Pale Podi Pavana Vachale Tori Barina Dekhi Upai Asha Pasha Sata Sata Klesha Dehi Avirata Pravriddhi Urmira Tahekela Asha Pasha Shata Shata Klesha De Avirata Pravriddhi Urmira Tahekela Kama Krota Adichoy Patapate Deamboy Avasane Hoila Ashibela Kama Krota Adichoy Patapate Dehapoy Avasane Hoila Ashibela Anadikarma Pale Bodhi Pavana Vachale Tori Parana Dekhi Upai Anadikarma Pale Bodhi Pavana Vachale Tori Parana Dekhi Upai Shana Karma Tagadui Mora Prata Royalui Avasheshe Bhela Sindhu Chale Shana Karma Tagadui Mora Prata Royalui Avasheshe Bhela Sindhu Chale Ehe no Samaya Bandhu Tumi Krishna Kripa Sindhu Kripa Kori Tolo Morabale Ehe no Samaya Bandhu Tumi Krishna Kripa Sindhu Kripa Kori Tolo Morabale Anadikarama Pale Bori Bavarna Vachale Tori Bare Na Dekhi Upai Anadikarama Pale Bori Bavarna Vachale Tori Bare Na Dekhi Upai Patita Kinkore Dori Pada Padma Duli Kori Deho Bhakti Vinoda Ashroy Patita Kinkora Dori Pada Padma Duli Kori Deho Bhakti Vinoda Ashroy Amitava Nitya Das Uliya Mayara Pash Vata Hoye Achi Doyamoy Amitabha Nityadas, Buliya Mayara Pash, Vadda Hoye Aji, Doyamoy, Anadikarama Pale, Pori Bhavana Vachale, Tori Barene Dekhi Upai, Anadikarama Pale, Bor Podi Bhavana Vachale, Tori Barena Dekhi Upai. Hey, Ben is here. How is that possible? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. That is very, very nice. Are you well, Ben? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, that is great. I thought you were ill. Hare Krishna. Okay, that is wonderful. Thank you for being here and thank you for being well. Hare Krishna. So welcome, Ben. Welcome, Jayanti Bai. Welcome, Nalini Mataji, Braknesh, Prakash, and Vashana Kishori Mataji. We have apologies from Amit. He cannot come. So here we have a very nice song, and we want to just read that translation. So perhaps Rushika is here as well. Welcome. Hare Krishna. So maybe Vashana Mataji, you want to read the translation? I'll screen share it right away. Okay, here it is.
Right, Hare Krishna. I have fallen into the ocean of material existence as a result of my selfish activities, which are without beginning, and I see no means of deliverance from this great oceans of nishines. Day and night my heart burns from the poison of these worldly activities, and on account of this my mind never finds any satisfaction or happiness.
Thank you. The question arises, well, just a little bit commenting. My heart burns. Why does the heart burn? From the poison. And what is the poison of the worldly activities? That is a question for anyone, really. Why does the heart burn? And what is that poison?
Prabhuji, is it the material gains, the material desires?
Desires, that's right. And why is it burning? Everybody thinks material desires is very nice. It makes us very happy. Why is it burning?
Because we are in the mode of passion and ignorance.
Yes, yes. And they never satisfy us.
Yes.
Not deeply down. They don't bring satisfaction. They bring superficial satisfaction for a little bit. That satisfaction is on the platform of the senses. Okay, the eyes and the tongue and the ears and sense of touch may be satisfied for a little bit, but we are not satisfied because we as a soul is not getting any satisfaction, and then we have to again take two other material so-called enjoyments in order to keep that level of excitement going, and so that is a poison. Yes, okay, let's take to that next verse. Vashana Mataji. You want to read that next verse as well?
Sorry, I think am I muted now? Hundreds and thousands of desires, like nooses around my neck, constantly give me misery and trouble. In that great ocean of nishines play the waves of materialistic tendency. In this world, there are many thieves and rogues, of whom 6 are prominent: lust, anger, greed, illusion, and madness. They are causing me great fear, and in this way, my life is coming to an end.
What a beautiful translation. Huh? Constantly giving misery and trouble, huh? Like nooses. Nooses is like when someone is getting hanged, the rope around the neck. And very well described by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, hundreds and thousands of desires. These are loads of desires. One desire, and I think everyone can understand and relate to that. That one desire is fulfilled, the next desire is there. And we want peace and happiness, and we're fulfilling that desire, thinking we get some peace. Then the next desire, the next, and never ending and never finding actually a resting place and peace and fulfillment. So that is described nicely in this verse. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, carry on, Vaishana Mataji, you're reading so nicely.
The two highway robbers, mental speculation and fruitive activity, have cheated me and misled me. And finally, they are throwing me into the ocean of misery. At such a time as this, my dear Krishna, you are the only friend, and you are the ocean of mercy and compassion. I have no strength to get out of this ocean of nescience, so I pray to your lotus feet that you will be kind and by your strength uplift me from this ocean of suffering.
Oh, beautiful described. Mental speculation, fruitive activity. What is the Sanskrit, the famous two words for that? Mental speculation and fruitive activity. Because our devotional service may be, if it's not pure, mixed with these two things. Fruitive activity means karma mishra bhakti, mixed, and mental speculation, jnana mishra bhakti. So here Bhaktivinoda explains, he appeals to Krishna, but the same appeal goes to the spiritual master. Without the shelter of a spiritual master, by our own strength, we cannot uplift ourselves. It needs a liberated person to do that. Let's go further. Text number 4, Vaishana Mataji.
Accept this fallen servant and fix me as a particle of dust on your lotus feet. Kindly give me shelter to this, Bhaktivinoda. O most merciful Lord, actually I am your eternal servant, but have forgotten this. I have become bound up in the network of Maya.
That's exactly our situation. We are actually eternal servant, but we have forgotten it. And then we are entangled life after life after life. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur asking for shelter. And we all need that shelter. We need Lord Krishna's shelter. Otherwise, what is the hope? And we recently spoke about what is so special about Krishna's lotus feet. So here again, Bhaktivinoda prays, fix me as a particle of dust. Not any big service and big servant at your lotus feet. No, as an insignificant particle of dust at your lotus feet. If we can achieve that, our life will be successful. Thank you, Vaishana Mataji. Hare Krishna. So that was Anadi Karma Pale, a beautiful song. What we want to do tonight, we want to read a little bit. We're doing a little bit something different. We want to read a little bit from Krishna book, which is, of course, 10th canto. 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Krishna book. So, and I will screen share, as Nalini has pointed out a week back. And we're looking at the story of chapter 15, the killing of Dhenukasura. Dhenukasura is the ass demon. So Let's screen share. We can all see that. I think we can all see the screen. And I would like to invite Ben to give us a reading, a little bit of a reading of the Killing of Dhenukasura. And we have a very short quiz on it, only very few questions because I ran out of time. But so do take note of that Dhenukasura chapter and whatever we're reading. Okay, here we go. Ben, is it okay? You read us a little bit?
Yeah, it's okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The Killing of Dhenukasura. In this way, Sri Krishna, along with his elder brother Balaram, passed the childhood age known as Komara and stepped into the age of Paganda from the 6th year up to the 10th. At that time, all the cowherd men conferred and agreed to give those boys who had passed their 5th year charge of the cows in the pasturing ground. Given charge of the cows, Krishna and Balaram traversed Vrindavan, purifying the land with their lotus footprints. Accompanied by the cowherd boys and Balaram, Krishna brought forward the cows and played on his flute as he entered the forest of Vrindavan, which was full of flowers, vegetation, and pasturing grass. The Vrindavan forest was as sanctified as the clear mind of a devotee and was full of bees, flowers, and fruits. There were chirping birds and clear water lakes with waters that could relieve one of all fatigue. Sweet-smelling breezes blew away, refreshing the mind and the body. Krishna and his friends and Balaram entered the forest and, seeing the favorable situation, desired to enjoy the atmosphere to the fullest extent. Krishna saw all the trees overloaded with fruits and fresh twigs, bending down to touch the ground, as if welcoming him by touching his lotus feet. He was very much pleased by the behavior of the trees, fruits, and flowers, and he began to smile, realizing their desires. Krishna then spoke to his elder brother, Balaram, as follows. My dear brother, you are superior to all of us, and your lotus feet are worshipped by the demigods. Just see how these trees, full with fruits and flowers, have bent down to worship your lotus feet. It appears that they are trying to get out of the darkness that has obliged them to accept the form of trees. Actually, the trees born in the land of Vrindavan are not ordinary living entities, having held the impersonal point of view in their past lives. They have been put into this stationary condition of life, but now they have the opportunity of seeing you in Vrindavan, and they are praying for further advancement in spiritual life through your personal association. Generally, living entities in the mode of darkness obtain the bodies of trees. The impersonalist philosophers are in that darkness, but they eradicate it by taking full advantage of your presence. I think the drones that are buzzing all around you must have been your devotees in their past lives. They cannot leave your company because no one can be a better, more affectionate master than you. You are the supreme and original personality of Godhead. and the drones are just trying to spread your glories by chanting at every moment. I think some of them must be great sages, devotees of your lordship, and they are disguising themselves in the form of drones because they are unable to give up your company even for a moment. My dear brother, you are the supreme worshipable Godhead. Just see how the peacocks are dancing before you in great ecstasy. The deer, whose behavior is just like that of the gopis, are welcoming you with the same affection. And the cuckoos, who are residing in this forest, are welcoming you with their joyful, sweet cries because they consider that your appearance in their home is so auspicious. Even though they are trees and animals, these residents of Vrindavan are glorifying you. They are prepared to welcome you to the best of their ability, as it is the practice of great souls in receiving another great soul at home. As for the land, it is so pious and fortunate because the footprints of your lotus feet are marking its body. It is quite natural for these Vrindavan inhabitants to thus receive a great personality like you. The herbs, creepers, and plants are also so fortunate to touch your lotus feet, and by touching the twigs with your fingernails, these small plants are also made glorious. As for the hills and the rivers, they too are now glorious, because you are glancing at them. Above all, the damsels of Raj, the gopis, are the most glorious, because you embrace them with your strong arms, being attracted by their beauty. In this way, Lord Krishna and Balaram began to enjoy the residence of Vrindavan to their full satisfaction as they herded the calves and the cows on the bank of the Yamuna. In some places, Krishna and Balaram were accompanied by their friends. The boys were singing, imitating the humming sound of the drones, and accompanying Krishna and Balaram, who were garlanded with forest flowers. While walking, the boys sometimes imitated the quacking sound of the swans in the lakes. Or when they saw the peacocks dancing, they imitated them before Krishna. Krishna also moved his neck, imitating the dancing and making his friends laugh.
Thank you, Ben. Let's pause here a moment. What a beautiful description. Who would not like to take part in such a wonderful atmosphere? Are there any questions from anybody? Welcome, Rashmi, also. We have a very big turnout, even bigger than Gita Jayanti. Look at that. Oh, Arvin is here. Welcome, Arvin. Ben, Rashmi, Jayanti Bai, Nalini, Pragnesh, Prakash, Rishika, and Varshana Kishori Mataji. Wow, isn't that beautiful? Thank you very much. Anyone has any question to what we have heard so far? A beautiful description of Vrindavan. Who has been in Vrindavan? Rashmi Mataji, does that description, what should I say, ring a bell? What do you say, Rashmi Mataji? A few.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, I've just joined, so I'm not able to put reference to
right.
context.
Okay, I wasn't aware when you came here. Yes, so these are descriptions of Vrindavan. Beautiful Vrindavan. Anybody who has been in Vrindavan, once you get beyond the rickshaws and the cars and the noise, then you can appreciate that. Arvin, you have a question.
No, I have been to Vrindavan. You asked me if I have been to Vrindavan, and it was quite a long time ago, but it was a very pleasant and very good experience indeed.
What if you could highlight any particular experience, what would it be?
I was very surprised that all the buildings, the castle and all that around Gokul and Vrindavan and all the buildings across the road, across the river, they are still there as they were when Krishna was around. It is very unfortunate that all the trees were chopped down and there was a bit of a destruction at the time when we visited Vrindavan some 20-25 years ago.
Yes, this is a long time back. Yes, these old temples of Radha Madan Mohan, of Radha Gopinath, Radha Raman, all this is still standing there. Yes. And the bathing ghats, Kaliya Ghat, everything is still there after 5,000 years. It has survived there. And we can take blessings from there. Okay, let's move on. I'll mute you again, Arvind. So we have everybody muted. And now I would like to ask, who wants to read a little bit more? Volunteers.
Prabhuji, I don't mind.
I thought you would volunteer. That is very nice that you volunteer. Thank you very much. So let's bring up that next screen. So here we go. The cows take care.
Okay, Hare Krishna. The cows taken care by Krishna had different names, and Krishna would call them with love. After hearing Krishna calling, the cows would immediately respond by mooing, and the boys would enjoy this exchange to their heart's content. They would all imitate the sound vibrations made by the different kinds of birds, especially the chakoras, peacocks, cuckoos, and bharadwajas. Sometimes, when they would see the weaker animals fleeing out of fear of the sounds of tigers and lions, the boys, along with Krishna and Balaram, would imitate the animals and run away with them. When they felt some fatigue, they would sit down and Balaram would put his head on the lap of one of the boys just to take rest. And Krishna would immediately come and begin massaging the legs of Balaram. And sometimes Krishna would take a palm fan and fan the body of Balaram, causing a pleasing breeze to relieve him of his fatigue. Other boys would sometimes dance or sing while Balaram took rest, and sometimes they would wrestle amongst themselves or jump. When the boys were thus engaged, Krishna would immediately join them, and catching their hands, he would enjoy their company and laugh and praise their activities. When Krishna would feel tired and fatigued, he would sometimes take shelter of the root of a big tree or the lap of a cowherd boy and lie down. When he would lie down with a boy or a root as his pillow, some of the boys would come and massage his legs, and some would fan his body with a fan made from leaves. Some of the more talented boys would sing in very sweet voices to please him. Thus, very soon, his fatigue would go away. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, whose legs are tended by the goddess of fortune, shared himself with the cowherd boys as one of them, expanding his eternal potency to appear exactly like a village boy. But despite his appearing just like a village boy, there were occasions when he proved himself to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes men pose themselves as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and cheat innocent people, but they can only cheat. They cannot exhibit the potency of God.
Okay, let's stop here a moment. Why is Krishna playing as a cowherd boy, enjoying the company of his friends. Why? What is the reason why he does that? Who can say? Why he possibly could do that? Anyone? Rashmi Mataji, what do you say? Why would the Supreme Personality of Godhead come to Vrindavan and play like an ordinary boy? Although we hear that sometimes he showed his potency, but most of the time he was just like an ordinary boy.
So, as far as I understand, Prabhuji, this is a reciprocation of Krishna to what his devotee wants. So some of the residents of Braj wanted him as their friends. The gopis wanted him as their boyfriend. The mothers wanted him as their son. So depending upon every devotee's desire, Krishna is fulfilling it. These are all people who have meditated on Krishna and these desires for many lifetimes to have become these associates, these personal associates of Krishna. So he is now reciprocating. And these pastimes are just continuing they are continuously happening. So it's not just that he did these pastimes and reciprocated with them once 5,000 years ago and it's done. But it might be going on in some other universe. Not might be, it is going on in the universe according to Shastra.
Thank you. That was a very nice explanation. Thank you very much. Yes, it is going on in other universes around the clock with slight variation, Shastra is saying. And yes, to please his devotees. That's why, not to enjoy himself, like we would want such a beautiful atmosphere to make us happier. Who wouldn't want to be in that forest with everything is pristine, everything, the animals are there, and everything is, and friends are there, and who wouldn't want to be in such an atmosphere? It's a simple life, very simple life. No talking of mobile phones and cars and this and that and heating. Oh no, it's not even cushions and beds and duvets and all of that. So Krishna took rest on the root of a tree with his head or on the lap of a cowherd boy. I mean, this is simple life. Who wouldn't want to enjoy in that way? But Krishna has not come to enjoy in that way. Krishna has come to give pleasure to his friends. And not only friends, to the animals, to the cows, to the creepers, to the grass, to the bushes, to everything there. Because everything is of a spiritual nature. And they're all in return, all these creatures and creepers and plants and cows and cowherd boys, they're not there to have a nice time, they're there to give pleasure to Krishna. And Krishna is giving pleasure to them. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so let's move on. Nalini Mataji, while Krishna was thus engaged, that paragraph, that second paragraph.
Hare Krishna. While Krishna was thus engaged in his transcendental pastimes, exhibiting his internal potency in the company of the supermost fortunate cowherd boys, there occurred another chance for him to exhibit the superhuman powers of Godhead. His most intimate friends, Sridhama, Subala, and Stoka Krishna, addressed Krishna and Balram with great love and affection thus: Dear Balram, you are very powerful, your arms are very strong. Dear Krishna, you are very expert in killing all kinds of disturbing demons. Will you kindly note that just near this place, there is a big forest of the name Thalavana. This forest is full of palm trees and all the This forest is full of palm trees, and all the trees are filled with fruits. Some have fallen down, and some are very ripe, even in the trees. It is very nice place. But because of a great demon, Dhenukasura, it is very difficult to go there. No one can reach the trees to collect the fruits. Dear Krishna and Balaram, this demon is present there in the form of an ass, and he is surrounded by similar demon friends who have assumed the same shape. All of them are very strong, so it is very difficult to approach this place. Dear brothers, you are the only persons who can kill such demons. Other than you, no one can go there for fear of being killed. Not even animals go there, and no birds are living there. They have all left. One can only appreciate the sweet aroma that is coming from that place. It appears that up until now, no one has tasted the sweet fruits there, either on the tree or on the ground. Dear Krishna, to tell you frankly, we are very attracted by this sweet aroma. Dear Balaram, if you like, let us all go there and enjoy these fruits. The aroma of the fruits is now spread everywhere. Don't you smell it from here? When Balaram and Krishna were thus petitioned by their intimate friends, they were inclined to please them, and with smiling faces, they proceeded toward the forest, surrounded by all their friends. Immediately, smiling faces, they proceeded towards the forest, surrounded by all their friends. Immediately upon entering the Talawana, Balram began to yank the trees with his arms, exhibiting the strength of an elephant. Because of this jerking, all the ripe fruits fell down on the ground. Upon hearing the sound of falling fruits, the demon Dhenukasura, who was living there in the form of an ass, approached with great force, shaking the whole field so that all the trees moved as if there was an earthquake. The demon appeared before Balaram and kicked his chest with his hind legs. At first, Balaram did not say anything, but with great anger, the demon kicked him again more vehemently. This time, Balaram immediately caught hold of the legs of the ass with one hand and wheeling him around, threw him into the treetops. While he was being wheeled around by Balaram, the demon lost his life. Balaram threw the demon into the biggest palm tree about. The demon's body was so heavy that the palm tree fell upon other trees, and several fell down. It appeared as if a great hurricane was passing through the forest, and all the trees were falling down, one after another. This exhibition of extraordinary strength is not astonishing, because Balram is the personality of Godhead known as Ananta Ses Nag, who is holding all the planets on the hoods of his millions of heads. He maintains the whole cosmic manifestations exactly as horizontal and vertical threads hold the weaving of a cloth. It's so beautiful, Prabhuji. This is so beautiful.
It isn't. It is, isn't it? It's beautiful, beautiful description, sir.
Yeah, touches you.
I hope everybody's enjoying that reading. And from time to time, we can do a little bit of reading from Krishna book, because the Bhagavatam, it goes very slow. We may have to speed it up a little bit. But why not have from time to time loosening the mood and hear these beautiful stories from Krishna book. Okay, who else can read? What about Rashika? What about you? You want to read a little bit further? Or are there any questions or any comments? Okay,
no,
Rashika.
I didn't know about Balram is known as the Godhead, personality of Godhead, known as Ananta Sesanaga.
But you heard about Ananta Sheshanaga, right?
No.
No, Ananta, Shesha, the multi-headed snake-like form. Yes, there are many things. Krishna and Balaram are basically on an equal level. Equal level of both being the personalities of Godhead. And Balaram is, of course, the elder brother. So we're learning a lot here, right?
Yes.
Okay, Rashika, go on. After the demon, that paragraph.
After the demon had been thrown into the trees, all the friends and associates of the Dhenukasura immediately assembled and attacked Balram and Krishna with great force. They were determined to retaliate and avenge the death of their friend. But Krishna and Balrama caught each of the asses by hind legs and exactly in the same way wheeled them around. Thus they killed all of them and threw them into the palm trees. Because of the dead bodies of the asses, there was a panoramic scene. It appeared as if the clouds of various colors were assembled in the trees. Hearing of this great incident, the demigods from the higher planets showered flowers on Krishna and Balrama and beat their drums and offered devotional prayers. A few days after the killing of Dhenukasura, people began to come into the Talavana forest to collect the fruits, and the animals began to return without fear to feed on the nice grasses growing there. Just by chanting or hearing these transcendental activities and pastimes of the brothers Krishna and Balrama, one can amass pious activities. When Krishna and Balrama entered the village of Vrindavana along with their friends, they played their flutes and the boys praised their uncommon activities in the forest. Their faces were decorated with tilak, and smeared with the dust raised by the cows, and Krishna's head was decorated with a peacock feather. Both he and Balrama played their flutes, and the young gopis were joyous to see Krishna returning home. All the gopis in Vrindavana remained very morose on account of Krishna's absence. All day, they were thinking of Krishna in the forest or of him herding cows in the pasture. When they saw Krishna returning, all their anxieties were immediately relieved, and they began to look at his face the way drones hover over the honey of lotus flower. When Krishna entered the village, the young gopis smiled and laughed. Krishna, while playing the flute, enjoyed the beautiful smiling faces of the gopis. The Krishna and Balrama were immediately received by their affectionate mothers, Yashoda and Rohini, who according to the time's demands, begin to fulfill the desires of their affectionate sons. Simultaneously, the mothers rendered service and bestowed benediction upon their transcendental sons. They took care of their children by bathing them, dressing them very nicely. Krishna was dressed in yellowish garments, and Balrama was dressed in bluish garments. And they were given all sorts of ornaments and flower garlands. Being relieved of the fatigue of their day's work in pasturing grounds, they looked refreshed and weary.
It's always a little bit down from the top. One or two lines are doubling up.
Okay. And very beautiful. Refreshed and very beautiful. They were given palatable dishes by their mothers, and they pleasantly ate everything. After eating, they were seated nicely on a clean bedding, and the mothers began to sing various songs of their activities. As soon as they lay down on the bedding, they very quickly fell fast asleep. It never happens with my kids.
Hare Krishna. You have to sing nicely, like here. That is what you're not doing. So what are you expecting? Never
eating their food, never sleeping. In this way, Krishna and Balrama used to enjoy Vrindavana life as cowherd boys. Sometimes Krishna used to go with his boyfriends and Balrama, and sometimes he used to go alone with his friends to the bank of Yamuna and tend the cows. Gradually, the summer season arrived, and one day, while in the field, the boys and the cows became very thirsty and began to drink the water of Yamuna. The river, however, had been made poisonous by the venom of the great serpent known as Kalia. Because the water was poisonous, the boys and cows became invisibly affected immediately after drinking. They suddenly fell down on the ground, apparently dead. Then Krishna, who is the life of all that lives, simply cast his merciful glance over them, and all the boys and cows regained consciousness and began to look at one another with great astonishment. They could understand that by drinking the water of Yamuna, they had died, and that the merciful glance of Krishna has restored their lives. Thus, they appreciated the mystic power of Krishna, who is known as Yogeshwara, the master of all mystic yogis. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport of 5th chapter of Krishna, the killing of the Dhenukasura.
Thank you, Hare Krishna, Rashika Mataji. Beautiful, beautiful descriptions, right?
Yes, very beautiful.
Prabhuji,
Any
can
questions?
I ask a question? Yeah,
Please.
Prabhuji, who was Dhenukasura in his previous birth? Why did he have to take on this birth as an ass and then being killed by...
That's a good question, and I don't know the answer. Anyone knows the answer? Who was Dhenu? Of course, he had the previous birth, and he there was a reason why he was born. Of course, he was a servant of Kamsa. But anyone knows what Dhenukasura's previous birth was? We can find out for next time.
So, Prabhuji, what was his role? I mean, why did he become a servant of Kans?
Because Kamsa employed all the demons to kill Krishna. All the demons in Vrindavan, from Akasura to Dhenukasura to Trinavarta, they were all sent by Krishna, by Kamsa to kill Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Because the prediction that Krishna will kill Kamsa. And therefore he did anything to avert that. He wanted to kill Krishna. Was he Krishna conscious, Kamsa?
No. Completely ignorant and...
He was actually Krishna conscious.
Oh.
But in a negative way. Krishna conscious means he was conscious of Krishna. 24 hours he was conscious of Krishna. Constantly he was thinking, but in a negative way, how he could kill Krishna and Krishna will kill him. I mean, if you have a death threat over your head, it's in all the newspapers or something like that, you would also feel, constantly you would think of this situation. So Kamsa was constantly thinking of Krishna. But in a negative way. That's not bhakti. That's not bhakti. Bhakti is in a positive way, in a loving way, thinking of Krishna, not in a hateful way like Kamsa. Rohini was mentioned. Who is her son? Who is Rohini's son?
Balram Prabhuji.
Yes. Anyone else has a question or any comment?
He was Vasudev's son as well, isn't it, with Rohini?
Say it again.
Balram was half brother to Krishna because Vasudev was the father and Rohini and Devaki Mataji were the mothers, the two brothers. We
talked about that, said Vasudev had 16, I remember vaguely, wives.
Yes.
Several wives. One of them was, Devaki, we know, and Rohini was also one of his wives.
Yeah.
So, anything else? Anybody? So maybe now, Rashmi, can you say something to the beautiful description of Vrindavan? Did you experiencing even a fragmental small speck of that Vrindavan, which we hear here in Krishna book? Or was it all rickshaws and noise and...
Sorry, Prabhuji, I didn't get your question.
Did you, I mean, we hear some beautiful descriptions of Vrindavan here and what Krishna and Balaram. Did you experience Vrindavan in that way?
Vrindavan is absolute magic. So I can't say I experienced it how it is given in the book. Krishna and Balaram and all these pastimes and all that. But when you go to Vrindavan, it is just magic. There is no question of, it doesn't matter, the rickshaws and the noise and the monkeys and all, nothing matters. It's yes. Here in the Western world or in any other part of India also, I feel that you have to make an effort to do bhakti. Bhakti will not happen automatically. You have to really make an effort, especially for the sadhaks, for the ones who are doing sadhana bhakti. They have to really make an effort. I can talk for myself. But if you go to Vrindavan, it is effortless. It just happens. You don't have to do bhakti. You have to, I think, try hard not to do bhakti if you're in Vrindavan. That is my experience.
Haribol. Beautiful. Yes, I couldn't agree more. But not everybody makes such an experience. There are people that go into Vrindavan and they don't get this experience. The predominant experience for them is the noise and the traffic and the cars and the dust and the smells and so on. So one has to go a little bit deeper, or being fortunate to get this kind of experience you just described. Yes, Vrindavan is magic. There is Krishna everywhere. I remember the very first time I was in Vrindavan, which was probably at 78. Yes, it was 1978. Long time. So we had some, not in Krishna Balaram Mandir, we had some local accommodation, maybe have been Vogel Ashram or I don't know. But all night long, there is a Sitaram temple nearby. All night long, there were singing or tape playing or probably live singing, not tape playing. Sitaram, Sitaram, Sita, Sita, Sitaram. All night long, all day long. This Kirtan has been going on for years and years, a decade and more, 24 hours. Like we have our Indra Prabhu, Indra Baba has taken that also, his instruction of doing the 24-hour Kirtan, and that is going on in Krishna Balaram Mandir also. But that Sitaram temple, that has been going on much longer. So how can you not think of Krishna if you're all night long? Sitaram, Sitaram, and so on. How is it possible? And wherever you go in the morning, the bells are ringing. Not only in one temple, there are 108 temples. So how can you not think of Krishna? But our purpose here of doing this Wednesday and Saturday is also to get a little bit immersed in spiritual life. In the week, things are very busy and we're working and family and responsibilities. So at least on a Wednesday and on a Saturday, we're trying to establish this bit of Vrindavan atmosphere by reading these beautiful stories we just heard of Krishna and Balaram in the Talaban forest, and reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and hearing Bhagavad Gita, so that in due course of time, we creating that Vrindavan atmosphere right here. Today I was reading something very interesting. Srila Prabhupada spoke, it was actually in the memories of Revatinandan Prabhu, which I posted out, who passed away yesterday or before yesterday. He has this Siddhanta Prabhu, which was our guest speaker here. He has compiled his Prabhupada memories. So that video, what goes along YouTube, we listen to that. It's beautiful. Revati Nandan, he speaks about, and Prabhupada said it took him 30 years to come to that level of chanting Hare Krishna as he was chanting. Now is that pure chanting. So these things don't happen just instantaneously. It may take 30 years, or it may take 40 years to come to that platform, but we will come to that if we pursue and not being deviated and going back to materialistic life. If we pursue our Krishna consciousness with determination, so by 30 years or 40 years, we come to the platform of pure devotional service. There is no question. There's a pure chanting of the holy name. And then our liberation, our back home to Godhead is guaranteed. So listen to that video. I would suggest there's a few other nice stories we haven't heard. So Hare Krishna. Rashmi Mataji, will you stay with us to the end or will you disappear?
I will stay till the end, Prabhuji.
Yes, because I'm just thinking, when shall we do the quiz? We could do the quiz now. It's a very short. Or
Are we
could
not
do
going
it.
to read Bhagavatam?
Yes, now. That's the idea. You go to the
I'm going to stay
Bhagavatam now.
till the end, Prabhuji. I have finished my
Okay,
round.
so we'll run the quiz in the last 15, 20 minutes. Okay, let's go to the Bhagavatam. Give me a minute. I will screen share. We have text 34 of the 11th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam today. And here is a screen share. Okay, text 34. Who wants to take that on? What about you, Ben? Text 34. If you don't mind, would you give us a reading of text 34? You can do the Om Namo. Yeah.
Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evam Nripanam Kishiti Bara Janmanam Aksho Hinibihi Parivrita Tejasam Vidhaya Varyam Svasano Yathanalam Mito Vadeno Parato Nirayudhaya. Translation. The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, and infantry, etc. He himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators, and they fought amongst themselves. He was like the wind which causes friction between bamboos, and so sparks a fire. But
just a very quick mention for those who are more or less new here, or not regular here. This is from the 11th chapter of the first canto. Lord Krishna has entered his city of Dwarka, and he has been received by all the citizens. They have gone out to greet him out of the gates of the city, and then he came into the city, and his mothers and his relatives and everyone, all the citizens greeted him, and everybody related with him, and Krishna pleased everybody according to their status. So, okay, let's go ahead. Purport.
Purport. As stated above, the living beings are not factual enjoyers of things which are manifest as God's creation. The Lord is the genuine proprietor and enjoyer of everything manifested in his creation. Unfortunately, influenced by the deluding energy, the living beings become false enjoyers under the dictation of the modes of nature. Puffed up by such a false sense of becoming God, the deluded living beings increase their material strength by so many activities and thus become a burden on the earth, so much so that the earth becomes completely uninhabitable by the same. This state of affairs is called dharmasyaglani, or misuse of the energy of the human being. When such misuse of human energy is prominent, the saner living beings become perturbed by the awkward situation created by the vicious administrators, who are simply burdens on the earth, and the Lord appears by his internal potency just to save the saner section of humanity and to alleviate the burden due to the earthly administrators in different parts of the world. He does not favor any of the unwanted administrators, but by his potent power, he creates hostility between such unwanted administrators, as the air creates fire in the forest by the friction of bamboos. The fire in the forest takes place automatically by the force of the air, and similarly, the hostility between different groups of politicians takes place by the unseen design of the Lord. The unwanted administrators, puffed up by false power and military strength, thus become engaged in fighting amongst themselves over ideological conflicts, and so exhaust themselves of all powers. The history of the world reflects this factual will of the Lord, and it will continue to be enacted until the living beings are attached to the service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:14, this fact is very vividly described, where it is said, "The deluding energy is my potency, and thus is not possible for the dependent living being to supersede the strength of the material modes. But those who take shelter in me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, can cross over the gigantic ocean of material energy. This means that no one can establish peace and prosperity in the world by fruitive activities or by speculative philosophy or ideology. The only way is to surrender unto the Supreme Lord and thus become free from illusion and the deluding energy. Unfortunately, persons who are engaged in destructive work are unable to surrender to the personality of Godhead. They are all fools of the first order. They are the lowest of human species of life. They are robbed of their knowledge, although apparently they seem to be academically educated. They are all of the demoniac mentality, always challenging the supreme power of the Lord. Those who are very materialistic always hankering after material power and strength, are undoubtedly fools of the first order, because they have no information of the living energy, and being ignorant of that supreme spiritual science, they are absorbed in material science, which ends with the end of the material body. They are the lowest of human beings, because the human life is especially meant for re-establishing the lost relation with the Lord, and they miss this opportunity by being engaged in material activities. They are robbed of their knowledge, because even after prolonged speculation, they cannot reach to the stage of knowing the personality of Godhead, the summum bonum of everything. And all of them are men of demoniac principle, and they suffer the consequences, as did such materialistic heroes as Ravana, Hiranyakasipu, Kamsa, and others.
Thank you very much, Ben. Quite a bit of a purport, and the first question would be, what is Bhagavad Gita 7:14? Anyone could imagine here 7:14? What is it? Which verse is it? Famous verse. This deluding energy of mine is difficult to overcome. This divine energy of mine. I think it must be this verse. Anyone knows?
Is it Mam Maya Duratyaya?
Yes. How does it start? Divine energy.
Daivihi Eshagunamayi.
Haribol. I think it is. Let's see. Here we go.
Mama Maya Durajaya. Mameva ye prabhajante Maya mitam tarantite.
Thank you. Translation.
This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
Thank you, Rashmi. That was, yes, that was that second line. Very nice. Mama Maya Duratyaya. So, Srila Prabhupada talks, or Krishna talks in Bhagavad Gita of the demonic nature. I think so. It is the next verse. Is it? Or is it not? Yes, it is. We can read that as well. Ben, you want to read that next verse?
The next verse is 15.
Yes, yes, very famous verse.
Namam duskritino muda prapajante naradama maya pritagyana ashuram bhavam ashrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are the lowest among mankind, whose knowledge has been stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me.
So these are both very important verses. We won't read the purport. It's going too far. It is too much. We will go back to the text itself, to the Bhagavatam. Can you say a little bit about that, Ben, that purport or the verse itself? I mean, let me first ask, is that helpful that the text is on your device in that way and you don't have to switch over to a browser, that everything is screen shared? Is that helpful?
Yes,
Yeah,
very
it's much easier because you've got to go into
Yes.
you've got to go into the Veda base, and then you got to go outside here. You got to go into the chat. Then you got to go, and then it's
forth and back. Yes, yes, I understand that. So that was a suggestion of Nalini Mataji. Thank you, Nalini Mataji. But it has a little drawback. When I go down one screen, and it doesn't go exactly one screen down. There is two lines. So we get used to that. That we continue on the next screen in the second line, not in the first line. And he has another drawback now, where I'm asking you, Ben, to say a few words. You are not in control of the screen, up or down, so you have to just say something in your memory or tell me, go a little bit up, go a little bit down, whichever. So what is there to be said on this verse? Just a little bit, very short.
Well, I mean, a lot of this verse is about, is like comparing and contrasting the materialistic mentality with the spiritual mentality, and how materialistic minded people think, and what is the the contrast, if you like, between the materialistic mind and the spiritual mind. Someone who's devoted to the Lord, and people who don't have any knowledge of the Lord, so they're deluded by the Lord's external energy, by Maya. But the devotees, they're under the protection of the divine energy of the Lord. Therefore, they are not influenced by the deluding energy. So they're becoming free from that deluded energy. And the Lord also is making points about the types of different people who come under the control of this energy. You know, he talks about the Mudha, the Naradama, the Duskritina, and the Asuric mentality, the demoniac mentality that's out and out, just opposed to any kind of authority above them, or any kind of understanding of a supreme or a higher being than themselves. You know, that's the demoniac mentality. They don't accept any superior authority but themselves. You know, so in the purport, the example is given of Ravana, Hiranyakasipu. They typify this very proud, arrogant, puffed up mood. So, and then there's obviously the stories about how they were all chastised, and ultimately they were killed by the Supreme Lord.
Thank you. Great, wonderful summary of that verse and purport. And I mean, does it ring a bell to today's situation, to today's political leaders in every country around the world? These are exactly these Dushkritinas. You want to say something, Ben?
Yeah, it does. It rings a bell, because that's what most people, they're like that, you know, because they don't have knowledge of the Supreme Lord. So they're acting on their own energy. They've got their own agenda, and they're motivated in a materialistic way. So it can only be, it can only lead to like unbeneficial action that's not really going to benefit anyone, not in the long term, but you know, they're only like short term, trying to satisfy people in the short term, their materialistic desires, but in the long term, it doesn't do anything.
Well said. Thank you very much. Yes, that the politicians of today are trying to satisfy the people's materialistic desires. That's not how leaders of societies or kings in the past We're supposed to govern, they're supposed to awaken the spiritual spark in the people in general and not cater to the materialistic tendencies and desires of the people. It's like a blind leading the blind, and both fall into the ditch. So it's a precarious situation. Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Rashmi Mataji, are you happy to give us a reading of text 35?
Chapter 11, text 35, correct?
I beg your pardon?
Chapter 11, text 35.
Right.
Yeah?
Yes.
So, Esha naraloke asmin avatirna swa mayaya reme stri ratna kutastho Bhagavan prakrito yatha. That Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, appeared on this planet by his internal potency and enjoyed himself amongst competent women as if he were engaging in mundane affairs. The Lord married and lived like a householder. This is certainly like a mundane affair, but when we learn that he married 16,108 wives and lived with them separately in each and every palace, certainly it is not mundane. Therefore, the Lord, living as a householder amongst his competent wives, is never mundane, and his behavior with them is never to be understood as mundane sex relation. The women who became the wives of the Lord are not ordinary women, because to get the Lord as one's husband is the result of many, many millions of births, tapasya, austerity. When the Lord appears on different lokas or planets, or on this planet of human beings, he displays his transcendental pastimes just to attract the conditioned souls to become his eternal servitors, friends, parents, lovers, respectively, in the transcendental world, where the Lord eternally reciprocates such exchanges of service. Service is pervertly represented in the material world and broken untimely, resulting in sad experience. The illusion living being, conditioned by material nature, cannot understand out of ignorance that all our relations here in the mundane world are temporary and full of inabilities. Such relations cannot help us happy perpetually, cannot help us be happy perpetually. But if the same relation is established with the Lord, then we are transferred to the transcendental world after leaving this material body and become eternally related with him in the relation we desire. The women amongst whom he lived as their husband are not, therefore, women of this mundane world, but are eternally related with him as transcendental wives, a position which they attained by perfection of devotional service. That is their competency. The Lord is Param Brahma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Conditioned souls seek after perpetual happiness in all places, not only on this earth, but also on other planets throughout the universe, because constitutionally a spiritual spark, as he is, can travel to any part of God's creation. But being conditioned by the material modes, he tries to travel in space by spacecraft and so fails to reach his destination. The law of gravitation is binding upon him like the shackles of a prisoner. By other processes, he can reach anywhere, but even if he reaches the highest planet, he cannot attain that perpetual happiness for which he is searching life after life. When he comes to his senses, however, he seeks after Brahman happiness, knowing it for certain that unlimited happiness which he is seeking is never attainable in the material world. As such, the Supreme Being, Parabrahman, certainly does not seek his happiness anywhere in the material world, nor can his paraphernalia of happiness be found in this material world. He is not impersonal because he is the leader and Supreme Being. amongst innumerable living beings, he cannot be impersonal. He's exactly like us, and he has all the propensities of an individual living being in fullness. He marries exactly like us. But his marriage is neither mundane nor limited by our experience, nor limited by our experience in the conditioned state. His wives, therefore, appear like mundane women, but factually, they are all transcendental, liberated souls, perfect manifestations of internal energy.
Thank you, Rashmi Mataji. Can you say a few words or pick some point you want to elaborate a little bit?
So there are a few points here that he is enjoying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's Parabrahman. So he is Para. The word para means supreme. So he's Supreme Brahman. He's the Supreme Soul. And actually, we have learned from all our other readings that actually Krishna is the only male. And everything else, every other entity, moving and non-moving, is all female. So all these, the entire material creation is female, and he alone is male. So he is the enjoyer and we are the enjoyed. So that was one point where Prabhupada said. And he said about the competent women. So these wives which Krishna is marrying, and he's doing the householder duties like a grihastha. He's marrying these 16,000 wives, but that does not mean we also have to imitate him. This is not on the material platform. These women are not the women of the material world. These women are all people who have meditated on him for millions of lifetimes and have had the desire to attain him as a husband. So all the queens of Dwarka wanted him as a husband in Dwarka. So they became his wives. So the women, the condition in the material world, it is not the same relationship. Here the relationship is like a business transaction that unless both the parties are completely satisfying each other, there will be a breakdown in the relationship. Very few relationships, for example, not very few, other than mother, father, and the child. The parents' relationship with the mother, with their children is the only relationship which we can say is somewhere near to being unconditional. Even that can be not unconditional. If the child is so busy, is so berserk, then even the parents will, unfortunately, even they might become against their own children if the child is ill-treating them or is very, very demonic. So, but here the relationship is not like this. Here, where Krishna is concerned and his relationship with the wives, it is not the same relationship like a business transaction. Here, the only aim of those wives is to please Krishna, and the only aim of Krishna is to please them. It is not for them, it is not for their own happiness, everything is for Krishna. And even Krishna is reciprocating exactly like they are. So he's not like spending one night with one wife and then he's having he is with them every day, every moment, exactly as they want, because he's supreme, he can expand himself. And exactly the same Krishna, it's not a part of Krishna, it is the full Krishna which is there with all of these wives.
Hare Krishna, well said. Thank you very much, Rashmi Mataji. That was beautiful and to the point. So, anyone has any question? What struck me on Srila Prabhupada's purport, and anybody can relate to that, I'm sure, that our relationships in this material world, however seemingly happy they may be, they're always breaking. Most relationships break without an happy end or break after just a few years. And we're speaking about even marital relationships amongst friends, and so on, acquaintances. falling out. So these relationships in this material world are very temporary and they're breaking. And you have so nicely explained it's a business transaction. Yes. As much as we say love, 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 that is not love. Love is eternal. Krishna, our relationship with Krishna will not break, in contrast. It will not break. In this material world, even if a relationship lasts till the moment of death, then it is broken. Then it is broken. At the moment of death, leaving this body, our relationships are broken. Nobody comes. There was this beautiful story of the king and 3 wives, and you probably know this story, and only the youngest wife, not particularly beautiful, and she said, because the king was going to die, and he said, will you follow me? Will you come with me? Nobody said, no way, I will. One wife said, I will marry again. And the other wife said, no, I'm not coming with you. And that one wife said, yes, I'm coming with you. And that wife is compared to the super soul. Krishna is coming with us. It's not, that relationship is eternal. It's not, there is a divorce, there is a fallout, there is an argument, and nothing of that sort. Krishna stays with us. Even if we degrade ourselves and entering a body of an animal, still Krishna is there as super soul. He never leaves us. So the proposition is, let's focus on our eternal relationship with the Lord. That doesn't mean we're forgetting our relationships in this world. These relationships in this world, if we actually putting that one before so many zeros, if we developing spiritually and we cultivating our relationship with Krishna, and our relationships with anyone in this material world, anyone from friend to acquaintances to husbands to wives to children, they're becoming 1,000,000 times better. 1,000,000 times. Because we see things in the proper perspective. It's not one or the other. It's both simultaneously. Okay. If there are no more questions, we can, no, we're not taking another verse. It's already coming to, we're going towards 9 o'clock. So what we'll do, we'll have that short quiz. And if there's any bit of sharing, anyone has any particular story to share before we going, I will set up the quiz in the meantime. Anyone has anything to share? Anyone has distributed any books? Pandava has distributed some books, some Bhagavad Gitas. He got some Bhagavad Gitas. I mean, he has a very nice photo. Maybe I'll be able to even bring that up. Anyone has anything else? Okay, I'll screen share that with you. Pandava's photo in his warehouse. Can you see that? Beautiful. Bhagavad Gita he distributed in his workplace, in his warehouse. He picked some Bhagavad Gitas up from me. We still have some sponsored Gitas. If you want to do any book distribution, Rashmi Mataji has already done, also distributed some books. And here Pandava, he has distributed some books. And says, yes, get a photo. Get a photo if you distribute any books. And it is nice to share. Here, some 2 souls got Bhagavad Gita. And the spiritual life begins. So, anyone has anything to share? Any stories to share? Anything? Rashmi, are you back at your Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita sessions with Siti Lalsa Mataji? Is that going on again?
No, Prabhuji, we are starting in January.
That is still on hold because of, she is in Vrindavan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. For your information, I have contacted what's his name again? Shrutakirti. I haven't received an answer, but I mean, it's getting towards end of December. He said beginning of January, he will be our guest speaker. So we're expecting some news very soon. So stay connected. Anyone has anything to share? Vaishana Mataji, you studying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam?
Yes, Prabhu, Haribol, yes, I am. Yes, I'm hoping to do some food for life if I can during Christmas. At least I thought I could make a very simple menu and distribute it myself, just a few pots for the homeless. It'll make me feel good.
Good, good, excellent. Yes, there are anywhere, London Road, City Centre, Down Centre, any of that. Okay, so if anyone wants to say something, I will set up the quiz now. Yes. Ragnesh is already here. Kahoot.it, not com, IT. And if you can mute all your microphones, or we might need your microphones, but you have to make no noises. Vaishana is here. Rashika is here. Pragnesh is here. So who is missing? Ben, you're missing. Kahoot.it.
What's the number again?
620.
Yeah.
6067. And then once you have done the PIN number, then put your name in as a nickname. It's only a few questions. So, Jayanti, you want to? Who left? Rashika. What happened? Rashika is here. 3, 4, 5. Jayanti, what about you? Stay there. Just put your nickname in and then we are ready to start. Yes? Shall we start? Let's start. The Killing of Dhenukasura. And here we start. Quiz. Who were the trees in Vrindavan in their last life? Click on one, multiple choice. One is right only. And the time is counting down. So what we have here on answers. Munis. Nobody got that right. It's in the text. They were impersonalists. Amazing, in Vrindavan. So where the trees were in the past lives, they were actually impersonalists. They were not great sages, pious living entities, not really munis. They were impersonalists. Let's move on. Pragnesh, oh, nobody, yeah, everybody is on the same platform. Everybody's on 0. Okay, next. Now you have to type an answer in. Who were the drones, the bees? Type in your answer. In the past life. Who were they in the past life? You have 20 seconds left. So quicker you are, so higher points you get. Type your answer. 2 answers we got already. Who were the drones? Who were the bees in their past life? The trees were impersonalists. Time is up. Nobody. No, 3 different answers. There were devotees in the Dhenukasura story. Of course, Rashmi, you came later, so you must have missed that. There were devotees in their past life. Next. What is the name of the palm tree forest? Madhuvan, Talavan, Badiravan, Kamyavan? What's the name of the forest? If you don't know it, give it a guess. Wow, Talavan, very well done. No, not Bandiravan. That's a different one, a different forest. They're all forests. Talavan, that's a correct answer. Well done, everyone, almost everyone. 4 right answers. Next. Now we have a score. Ben is on top, followed by Rashika, Rashmi, Vashana, and Praknesh. Next. What did Balaram first do when arriving at the forest? Take rest, eat the fruits on the ground, kill the demon, shake the trees. What? What did he do? Shake the trees. Someone said take rest. And someone said eat the fruits on the ground, which would be logical. But actually, it's described in the Bhagavatam, Krishna book story. He was shaking the trees. And then after shaking the trees, the fruits fell down and the demons heard that sound and they came immediately. Dhenukasura came. Because Dhenukasura didn't know Krishna and Balaram, the cowherd boys, are in the forest. But by the falling down of the fruits and the shaking, and Balaram was shaking the trees very violently. Very violently. Okay, well done. Now we have Rashika leading the pack, followed by Rashmi, Vaishana, Ben, and Praknesh. We have 5 players. Okay, next. True or false? Dhenukasura first attacked Krishna. True or false? No, it is not true. Someone said it is true. It is false. He attacked first. Balaram. Balaram was attacked first. Rashika has a winning streak, and she is just slightly ahead of Rashmi Mataji. Next. Quiz. Now multiple items can be selected. Not just one answer. There are more than one answer right. How did Krishna and Balaram kill the demons? One answer, 2 answers we get. Okay, whirling them around is correct. And catching their hind legs is correct. Punching them in the face, no, that is not correct. No, that was, what demon was that? The bull, Aristasura, where Krishna put his fist in his mouth and his fist expanded and he couldn't breathe. That's a different story. So yes, that is 2 answers are correct. Catch the hind legs and whirling them around. Both was done. That was our last question. So I want you to head back to Zoom now. Hare Krishna. Did you enjoy that?
Yes, very nice. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
It was a very short quiz, right? Very, very short, because I ran out of time. Okay, So we'll do that again, short, and we're running towards 9 o'clock. Anybody has any announcement, anything else to say? Now is an opportunity, or anything to share, or any question? No? Okay, so we finish
Prabhuji,
here.
I have something to share.
Yes, please go ahead.
So I've been listening to the Meera Charitra. It's the, what is Charitra? The life of Meera character, her character. It's the whole katha I've been listening in the last 7-8 days.
You should know what Charitra means. Ram Charitra Manasa by Tulsidas. Charitra, same word.
So yeah. No, I was looking for a word in English, but I can't find a word in English. So in that Charitra, Mirabai, when she goes to Vrindavan, she goes to Jiva Goswami, and she's standing outside his door. She wants to have his darshan, and she asks Jiva Goswami. She knocks on his door, and he asks, "Who is this?" So she says, "Mirabai." So he tells her that I'm not. I don't see women. I'm a sannyasi. So then Mirabai, she doesn't say it sarcastically. She did not say it in a sarcastic manner. She gets very sad and she walks away saying that, "Oh, I did not know there was any other Purush in Vrindavan." So then immediately, as soon as Jiva Goswami hears this, he immediately opens the door and he does pranam to her. She's elder to him in age, and from her answer, he can tell that she's a very realized soul. And then they meet each other, they do pranam to each other. And then Mirabai inquires from Jiva Goswami about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then a few days are spent by Jiva Goswami enlightening Mirabai about all the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has gone back. So he has finished his pastimes. So she becomes unconscious when she hears that. She said, "He was here just 10 years ago and I missed that opportunity." And then she asks him to make him his, she says, "I already have a Diksha Guru. My Diksha Guru is Raidas Maharaj, but can you become my Siksha Guru?" So initially Jiva Goswami refuses because he says, "You are very..." Oh, that's a beautiful photograph.
Yes, book distribution ki jai. That's an old photograph, but it's beautiful.
Good. So nice, Ben is looking.
It's very nice. Book distribution. Hare Krishna. Carry on, Rashmi.
Yeah, so nothing, so Prabhuji, so then he tells her that you are elder to me and you're much more enlightened than me. And she refuses. She says, "No, you become my Siksha Guru." So he gives her, he becomes her Siksha Guru. And it's very nice, but this part was, I thought maybe many people will not know. So I thought I will share it.
Thank you very much. It's a well-known story. Yes, Krishna is the only Purush in Vrindavan, and outside of Vrindavan, but especially in Vrindavan, that there's no female. We're all female. Okay. Anything else? Show us that picture again, Ben. Beautiful picture. When was that?
It's a few years back now.
Yes. It almost appears like a few lifetimes back. But,
I got a
yes.
Here's another one.
Ben, I have forgot. I'm glad you put the picture. I have forgotten how you look.
Yes. Hare
I've
Krishna.
not seen you for such a long time, or heard you also.
Look how beautiful. And show us another picture.
I got another one.
Book distribution ki jai. Hare Krishna. It's saving the world, the book distribution. Hare Krishna. Pragnesh, I'm so happy you came tonight. Oh, look at that. The Transcendental Brothers. Hare Krishna. Beyond birth and death. That's it. Beyond birth and death. Rushika, thank you for coming tonight. Pragnesh, thank you. Jayanti Bai, thank you for coming tonight. Next time you take part in the quiz. And thank you, Rashmi and Ben. I'm happy you're well, Ben. I'm really, really happy. Hare Krishna. So here we stop. Thank you. See you on Wednesday for Bhagavad Gita workshop. And if not there, then next Saturday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.